From Sound Zero Studios, we're live at the Secret Hideout. We've got the inside connection to the Valley of the Sun's hottest musicians and artists. We encourage you to like, share, and subscribe to everyone you see here tonight and take you now to the Secret Hideout.
We have the cast of UrineTown on set for tonight. I went and saw UrineTown a couple of months ago, and it was a thrilling experience. And they went ahead and gave us the Secret Hideout sign here that you see. And you made that. Angela made that. We're here with Mark Hackmann, Tim Fiscus, Tim Fiscus, and Angela Kabasan. Yes, and we are here with the cast of UrineTown, and we want to thank you all for coming out here tonight with us. And we just want to ask some questions about the theater life.
Cool.
The first question I have for you, Tim, what drew you to a musical project called UrineTown?
Well, so the UrineTown is not exactly the most attractive name for a show. You know, a little bit of unfortunately named show. On
purpose.
It's on purpose, but you don't actually know that till you actually go see the show, and you don't go see it unless you know that it's going to be more than what it sounds like. So I was not familiar with the show. Unlike Mark, I hadn't ever interacted with the show before. I'd never seen it, never read a script. I didn't know anything about it, but I knew some people that were going to be involved in the project, and I took a leap of faith that it was going to be a good show. I listened to the Broadway soundtrack, I guess, like what a lot of people do, and I was hooked. Loved it.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, Angela, how about you? What drew you to this musical?
Well, I had actually seen the show UrineTown. A couple of my friends were in it in a small theater, Tuscany Theater, and I really enjoyed the music and all the little whimsical parts of it, and I thought this would be a really good show to be involved in.
Yeah, okay, all right, and Mark?
Well, I had done the show some years before, so when they announced auditions for it, I was on board immediately because I had fallen in love with it before. But when I initially auditioned for the show, I heard about it. I got the script. I read the script. And I thought, this is terrible. Why would anyone want to do this? Because it doesn't read well. It's very cynical text. And then I got the soundtrack and listened to the music, and it's gorgeous. Just gorgeous, complicated, well-written, hard music.
Very hard.
Who wrote the music?
Oh,
do you know?
Yeah,
you're gonna.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next question.
We'll move on to the next one.
Another important question would be who directed UrineTown?
We had a great director named David Chorley who did a wonderful job of bringing a lot of minor, odd little things that you wouldn't necessarily think to do unless you're...
line readings that you would never think to read it that way, or movements that go along with the line readings you would have never considered as an actor. And one of the things you look for in a director is somebody who's got a vision for what they want to see the final product be, and know how to tell you how to get there without telling you how to act your part.
Right.
With letting you do your thing, but still shaping it into what they want to see. And that was what he was just a pro at.
And a lot of the cast that I talked to would say that David says a lot without saying anything at all.
Right.
So he just gives you this sort of organic idea of what he wants, and then he lets you play, and then he's like, I like that, or I don't think that works, or but he lets you explore things, and it really, he allowed the creative process to flow through not only him, but like all of us.
Right.
So
when you got 20 people all having creative ideas, you got to know when to say no. Like, that does not work. That's not funny. It's not a good idea, but still not stifle people's chances to try again.
So he would allow you within the practices to go ahead and, try this out. See how it works.
So rehearsals were really experimental for this show. I think that like a lot of times it was just, let's just do this scene. Just go do it. Let's see what comes out of it.
I can imagine.
This is the idea I have for the scene. Let's see what you do with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can imagine there was a lot of laughs along the way.
Yeah.
During all these rehearsals.
Yeah.
Yes, most definitely.
That's awesome. All right, the next question I have How did this show differ from any other show that you have done? Who wants to take a stab at it first?
I'll take a stab at it. So the thing I really want to impress upon anybody that didn't get a chance to go see it is you missed a treat. This was a great show.
Absolutely.
Just put some
and
salt
I don't,
in that.
I don't say that as somebody who was in the show. Obviously, I was in the show, but I could see how if I was an audience member, I would have really enjoyed the experience because there wasn't a let up moment at any point during the show. And that's, I think, the thing that really is unique about this show for me is that from the person who had the most to do to the person who had the least to do, rock solid.
Yeah.
Like not just singing, not just acting, not just movement, but just everything combined all together. There wasn't a moment in the show where you as an audience member went, yeah, this isn't as strong as the last stuff I saw.
Right.
It was just consistently strong all the way through.
I can say as an
And-
audience member myself, I'm sorry to cut you
No,
off.
yeah, go for it.
As an audience member myself, I was sitting on the balcony, and every single scene, emotion, clever lines that they would use inside the play. And I said to myself, all right, I'm not usually a theater guy that would go and watch theater, but when I got the invite, Mark, thank you for the invite.
You're welcome. Thanks for
And
coming.
I invited a buddy as well who came with me, and he loved it. He's not a theater guy as well, so that says something about a production that can transcend where people won't usually watch it, and you'll grab their attention. And that's what I got from it myself.
I think this show especially differed from any other that you're likely to see in that it doesn't take itself seriously. It breaks the fourth wall a lot. It is a satire that knows that it's a satire. It's a very intelligent show with a lot of current events referred to and current issues, I should say, and references to other musicals, and it works in a lot of different levels, which is always a work that you
Right.
like to be involved with, and that tends to make people interested in it.
Right.
So.
What was your character?
I was Officer Lockstock. I was
Officer
the,
Lockstock.
He was the bad guy.
well,
Sort of the narrator too.
I was the narrator, more or less. I addressed the audience, told them what was going on.
Okay.
But my character was very crooked, and on the take. But then again,
He had a sense of morality, though.
he had a sense of morality.
Right.
But pretty much every character in the show is evil in one way or another. There's really no good guys in this show.
It is not a happy musical,
It's
as they
not a
say a
happy
number
musical.
of times
It is-
during the show.
It is not a happy musical.
It is not. It's
That's
not.
true.
It's a toe tapper, but it's not happy.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And Angela played the main character's mother, the beleaguered mother,
Yes.
who
You were
loses family members one after the other.
Yes.
Josephine Strong?
Josephine Strong.
Okay, Josephine Strong.
I start off the musical by first losing my husband,
Oh, God.
and then
He was the one that got hauled off, correct?
yes,
Yeah.
Officer
Yeah.
Lockstock called him off.
He hauled him off.
He decided
Hauled
to
him
just
off to
pee right
UrineTown.
there in the street.
Right in the corner.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And then later on, I lose my son,
That's right.
the hero of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so we all
Spoiler
have to-
alert.
Well, so yeah.
Okay, and you were the villain.
That's right. I was the
The
evil supervillain, Caldwell B. Cladwell, the megalomaniac who runs the evil corporation called Urine Good Company, that is in charge of essentially all aspects of people's lives because they control urination.
Right.
So he's gotten filthy rich off of it, and he's training his daughter to do what he does.
Okay, and there's a part. Okay, so you're supposed to, in this play, conserve water, right?
Yeah, right. Mhm.
And I remember, I believe you were telling me about a part within the play where a plant was placed on a desk. Can
Yeah.
you expound on?
Yeah, so just a little detail that we never talked about in the show, never mentioned it explicitly. It's not a line in the show or anything, but people are very regulated on water consumption and people don't want to drink a lot because they have to pay to pee.
Right.
And so the reason why this whole thing exists is because of the water shortage.
Right.
So the evil corporation, of course, to seem a little bit more evil, the director had the idea that we would be overwatering our plants. We would have, pots of water. We'd just be dumping them into the plants to water them, just casually wasting water in the big corporation. And so every time you went to the to my office, the evil overlord's office, his potted plant on his desk got a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger.
So he was using the water.
And his secretary, or his, I guess, the office lady that was always in his office was always watering the plant with a watering can every time the scene opened.
Right.
And it would get, and eventually it kind of draped down over the side of the desk, but never mentioned or anything. Just a little detail. The director's really good at that kind of stuff.
The small things matter.
Yeah, yeah.
Small things actually count. Okay, the next question I'm coming to: what got you into theater? Who wants to answer that?
Angela, go for that one. You got it.
Oh, holy crap. Well, I always loved singing in choir, and I think one of the first shows that I ever did was in middle school. It was a musical version of A Christmas Carol, believe it or not.
Wow.
And I was Tiny Tina. Yes, I was Tiny Tina. And
Hey,
Sounds like a
Tina.
stripper.
no,
Tiny Tina.
and I just loved the sort of the pageantry and the magic that musicals brought, because I was always singing, and I always thought, anytime anyone would talk to me, I would always hear a song.
Right.
Like, so I was just like, musicals are like what's in my head.
Right.
I'm like, oh my goodness.
It
So
just made
this is
sense.
a thing. So that's why I started just loving musicals. And the first one I saw that really just blew me away was Godspell. In high school, even, I was kind of upset because my parents wouldn't let me, as a freshman, join drama club. I had to wait till I was a sophomore because it was too much responsibility for a freshman,
Right.
And so I saw Godspell, and I was wrecked. Like, the whole rest of the evening, I was like, oh my God, this is like my heart, and it's on the floor, and blah, blah, blah. So, and I was just like, I was just, oh my God.
So that sounds like a
wanted-
defining moment in your life.
Oh God,
at
yes.
that point.
Yes, and
Seen
then
it.
and then after that, my mother saw that I loved it so much, she enrolled me in children's theater at Lorain County Children's Pioneer Theater, and I did that for a couple of years, and then I became an instructor there. So
Wow.
yeah, and then after that, I was doing community theater shows. So,
Okay.
yeah.
You are an amazing actor.
Oh, thank
You
you
have an
very
amazing presence on stage and off of stage.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you very
welcome.
much.
Very welcome. Okay, Mark.
I think you said the perfect phrase, defining moment. I
Yes.
bet that all of us in this field can point to a defining moment
Sure,
where
yeah.
we said that's the one. For me, I grew up in a rural area of the Midwest. There wasn't a lot of culture. We didn't have theater. We didn't have musicals touring through town that you could see. But I did get the opportunity a couple, 3 times a year. When I was in high school, they would take a bus and take field trips up to the Guthrie Theater in Minneapolis, which is a fairly well-known local theater that does really good professional work. And I got to go one time, and I got to see The Crucible,
Oh, okay.
which is a fairly famous, not
got the
Cold War. It's
Salem Witch Trials,
It's Salem Witch Trials,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's commentary on the Arthur Miller. Thank
Yeah.
you. It's a commentary on the Red Scare.
Yeah,
of
okay,
the
yeah.
50s,
Communism.
right?
Yeah.
But besides all of that, I got to sit in a theater, in 3/4 round theater, fairly close to people who were really acting and doing it well and affecting you, and it's just like this palpable tactile sensation of being next to something that's really happening, which you
Right.
don't get when you're at a movie,
Yeah.
Right.
and that really affected me, and
That's where you were hooked.
that was where I was hooked. That was my defining moment, and I've loved doing this ever since. So
Right.
So I've been acting since I guess my first thing was in second grade.
Second grade.
Yeah. So I mean,
Okay.
I was doing school shows kind of a thing, and I suppose my thing that really dragged me into it was when I was in 5th grade of all times. I was in this silly little Christmas show about a toy store on Christmas Eve when all of the toys have been purchased and they've locked up for the night, and all the toys that are left on the shelves realize they're not going to be with anyone on Christmas morning. And all of that's like the gist of the show, right? So all of the little different groups, and all the kids are dressed up. One of them's Raggedy Andy, and you got the Three Bears, and you got the wooden soldiers and whatever. And they all have these fun little songs that they sing, to show off what they would do if they had been adopted by a kid, right? Well, my character was the very sad cowboy. That was his name, the very sad cowboy. He was on a rocking horse, and he had like painted frown on, because he was a very sad cowboy, right?
The Joker.
So, and I sang this song. I got to sing a song. It was a featured solo in the show called "I'm a Very Sad Cowboy," and.
Do you still remember the song?
Oh, I could sing the song right now. I'm not going to, because
come on.
it'll make you cry.
Come on.
Just a little snippet.
Just a little.
I'll sing a little bit.
Okay.
Oh, I'm a very sad cowboy. I like to ride in the West, but nobody wanted me for Christmas, so I'm left over with the rest. Oh, right. So the moment was that we had this happy show, right? Everybody's, the Singing Bears had just sung their song, and then there was a Jack in the Box that was narcoleptic, and she'd pop out and fall asleep, and it was a lot of funny stuff, right? So Very Sad Cowboys thing comes on, and I'm singing my part, singing my song on my rocking horse, and I'm finished singing. It was a real heavy moment.
Right.
And nobody knew whether to clap. And you could see that people were really sad.
Yeah.
Like, oh, God, that's really sad. That's a sad cowboy.
We're going to buy all the cowboy books.
Like, we're going out right now and buying every cowboy we can find. And I realized the power that I had over people's emotions in that moment.
Right.
Yeah.
And that I was the only thing they were looking at. I was the only thing they were thinking about, and that they were a little bit sad because of what I had done.
Right.
And that was the attention that I was seeking as a kid, and still am, I think. Why do you go into acting anyway? So I was really hooked, and then I wanted to do more dramas and sad stuff, and that's kind of I tend to be in a lot of musicals, but my favorite stuff is the heavy stuff. Yeah. I like to do the heavy, serious stuff, probably because of the Very Sad Cowboy.
From that defining moment, brought on. All right, this is what I would like to do. This lane.
Oh yeah, yeah. And so I started trying out for drama club, and I would go out for every show that would have me show up. I even auditioned for Steel Magnolias one time. That's all women. There's 6 women in that show. There's no men. There are no male roles in that part.
How did you audition for that? Did you?
They didn't let me
go
on stage. Yeah, they didn't let me do anything.
I thought you put a wig.
I became the stage manager. They took me in the tech crew.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So it worked out.
Sort of,
in a way. Okay. My next question for you all: what is it about theater that draws you to it more than any other hobby out there? Mark, I know you have a lot of hobbies. A lot.
I do.
You're a genius.
I'm not a genius.
Evil genius.
No, I just have. I'm just completely scattered. I'm too interested in too much of everything. Is my problem.
Okay.
Why I like theater more than anything else? I actually have a very deep thought. Well, it's not deep, but I've thought about this a lot. Theater is one of the few activities that you can go for that is not competitive. It is cooperative.
Okay.
Now, you have to compete for a part. You do have to do a little bit of competition to get in there. But once you have put the cast together, now it's in everybody's best interest to make everybody else look as good as possible, right? And if that doesn't happen, you've got serious problems. And so that's the thing I love about it. It's not a one-upsmanship, or doesn't tend to be. It tends to be something that everybody's in it together. And, it always amuses me when you're backstage and something bad happens, and somebody's dress rips, or there's a prop lost, or something has fallen on stage, and everybody's immediately, oh my gosh, how can we fix that? Well, I'm coming out next. I can take this to him, and then he can take that, and we can do this. And
y'all work it out behind the scenes.
Oh yeah, it's like a crisis intervention.
You have to.
We've all got multiple
because
stories about that.
everybody freaks out behind stage. It's like, oh my God, are you okay? Oh my God, I screwed this up. No, it's okay. You're fine. We could just go on to the next thing. And it's all about
so you have those buffers behind there.
You have to like build each other up, really, because if you don't, like, it really brings the whole atmosphere down. Like, there's always these people that are like, oh man, I screwed up. You know what? It's okay. We'll go forward. We'll move on. We can fix this. Like, the next scene, it'll be okay.
Right.
Because we all want to do a good job to entertain the people who came to see us, you know?
So to keep your energy up behind the scenes, do you guys have those, like, little pep groups where you guys, you know what I'm saying?
I do know exactly what you're saying.
Where you're about to go out on stage.
Yeah, you do that stuff. You do that sort of stuff.
Breathing exercises and
Okay.
There's the thing where to get all the nerves out, you just shake all your limbs out one after the other 8 times, then 4 times, then 2 times, then 1 time, and then you're done.
So no deep breaths?
So
I heard deep
there's
breaths
sometimes deep breaths.
Depending on whether you're doing a singing show or not, you'll be a little bit more scripted on what you do for warm-ups with your voice. And
Right, okay.
Yeah. Sometimes if people, I've done this on another show, if somebody has a panic attack or whatever, like if it's been a really intense scene and they're like, oh, like you just sit there and you just hold them and you just breathe and you just go breathe and breathe, and then like so that it gets like so they get back to a baseline.
That's so crazy because watching UrineTown, you see how smoothly the production went along, but behind the scenes, that's why you have to give actors, actresses a lot of credit.
When you're surrounded by a lot of people that are doing their best to make you look good, a lot of technical people backstage, you got stage managers, you got props people, you got lights and sound, band, everybody's there doing stuff that nobody sees to help you look good and to help the show look good. And so you have to treat those people with every bit of importance as the people that are out there on stage, because without them you don't look good, you don't sound good.
Right.
Yeah. So I think my favorite thing about theater that's different from other hobbies is that you're interacting with people in a way that you don't normally interact with people. The people, when you have a hobby that's social, where you go out and you sit with people and you chat with them, or you're like, say you're going out to a bar and you're doing trivia or you're throwing darts or whatever. It's a community way of interacting. You get that on stage, but also you've got the interaction between you and the people that you're doing your thing for. And that's a relationship that you can feel. That's a tangible relationship that you can feel. And it's a high when it's working and you're doing your thing and what you're doing is working and it's working for them and it's working for you. They're being entertained. You're being entertained because it's what you're doing is working. And then when that is over, you are buzzing. You are high. It's definitely an adrenaline, a chemical high from that experience, and you want to do it again. And that's why people just audition and audition and audition.
And it's often hard to go home and go to sleep after a night like that.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
you're just wired.
Absolutely.
And to play off of that, that's really one of the reasons that I do it is the connection to people. Because a lot of the times we have jobs where we sit and we don't talk to people, or we have hobbies, like if we're doing things that are like solitary, we don't really connect. Or a lot of people in theater, I know a lot of people in theater that have like things like anxiety who can't interact with people on a regular basis, but they can do it in theater. It's a way for them to connect with people and to feel a solid, connection to humanity without experiencing that anxiety.
Because it's not open-ended. There's rules. There's rules to it that you have to follow, and that takes people's anxiety away. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
So there's rules that you have to follow.
Well, so when you're on stage, you have a script that you're following, and when you're at rehearsal, there's rules to how you behave at rehearsal and how you interact with rehearsal, and then there's a contract between you and the audience with how you are to behave to an audience member, or how you're to treat the audience based on what you do on stage.
Right.
That's very anxiety removing for people that are anxiety. People think, oh, I could never go up on stage. I'm too nervous. I get in front of people, I would flub up my lines. I would never be able to do it.
Right.
But in reality, I find it's one of the most calming kinds of things I can do, because I step out of the chaos of the real world into a scripted experience, like a thing that has, what's coming, what just happened, what you're doing, everything. People behave the way you expect them to behave.
I've never heard it
Yet,
that way.
even though it's a scripted experience, you're still allowed to let the people outside of that scripted experience into your reality and have them feel things with you and have them laugh with you, have them cry with you.
Sure.
That's where that
have
buzz comes.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
exactly. It's like you're letting them into a part of your life safely.
Yeah.
So
That's true. That's true. I would agree with that. I like the idea that it's very scripted and very rehearsed, right?
Yeah, right.
You've gone through this stuff dozens of times. You know what's supposed to happen next.
okay.
You know your lines. You know where you stand. You don't run into the furniture there. So
Right.
from that hopefully, so from that point of view, it's a very safe environment in that it is something that you are prepared for,
Right.
and that you know what should happen.
Okay.
Now, having said all that, it never does
Right.
exactly happen
Right.
that way. And that's what's nice about having all these people standing backstage, and up in the booth and,
Right,
and,
as a
and
support.
running the sound, and they're all ready to catch you if you fall, right?
That's
or,
awesome.
or pick you up. And that's the part I get a little choked up about.
And I think
that's the part that I love about
it really is a sort of separate family.
when you talk to
honestly.
people that play team sports, they kind of say the same thing.
they do.
They
That's
all
true.
they all have to kind of go through that same rigorous training process. They all have to go through the experience of the game, of the pressure being on,
Right.
and so they build a camaraderie based on that. Nobody could know how I feel unless you did it in my shoes.
Yeah.
So what it's like to be part of this team that's putting this production on. Nobody else can, and so that's why you get to build this little family of people that know what it was like to be part of that.
It's like y'all are convincing me to go and audition.
Yeah,
Maybe you
For
should.
the-
You
for
should.
The next play. I've
Next one.
done a couple, but I definitely understand from that perspective of everything it's a controlled environment that you have. And if there's a slip up, hey, it's controlled. We got you. The audience, because I guarantee there must have been some slip ups within the production. And I didn't see
You know what? There
any.
weren't many.
This
There
show
weren't
was
many.
pretty clockwork.
This one was
This-
a solid
it
one
was.
out of any I've seen, I think.
the most of the time I found that when the actors all know about a thing that went wrong on stage, oh my gosh, tonight we had blah 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 problem that went wrong on stage. You talk to somebody who came to the show and they're like, "Oh, I never noticed. I never noticed
Yeah.
that went wrong."
Right.
You only knew it went wrong because you're so used to the method of it and the machinery of it.
And you know what
And
it's supposed to be.
You know what it's supposed to be, but they didn't know what it was supposed to be, so
Right.
they didn't notice it.
I was a viewer, and I thought it went straight through.
You know, I think the worst problems we had, we would flub up a line or something. Somebody
notice that
somebody
either.
would make a mistake. I made a couple, I know, at least. But well,
My favorite part in there, it's stuck in my brain. Huh?
Yeah, that was a very silly piece, but that was in the script. I mean, we didn't add that. That's how it
That
was
was
written.
in the script.
That was
Yeah.
in the script.
Wow.
Except the one bit that wasn't in the script that David added that I
Oh.
laughed at every single night was, we've established this every time somebody says something surprising that everybody on stage goes, "What?" Well, at one moment in the second act, everybody stops doing it except for one guy. Somebody says something surprising, and he goes all by himself. He goes, "What?" Everybody's like, "No,
Yeah,
no,
no,
we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
No,
We're not doing
no,
that.
no.
We're not
I
doing
remember
that."
Didn't you
that
get the
part.
program?
That-
Just
Yeah.
That
part was
always
so
just
funny.
Read the
cracked me
room.
up because it was
Yeah.
so arbitrary. It's not in the script. It just was a great little gag
It was.
that cracked me up every night. I'm backstage in that.
I
I'm not on
remember-
stage
I
in that
remember
scene. I'm just
part.
laughing
that
at
part
backstage.
Was very funny, entertaining.
Some people like to go to the green room and get off stage backstage, and just go away and wait till their next part that they're on. I hang around behind the curtains. I like to sit and listen
do
to
that
what's
too.
going on the show.
Well, I'm afraid I'll miss my
That's
entrance.
the part of
my
it too.
problem.
The
I
anxiety of
can't- I can't
not
be
being
going
ready
off.
for the
Have
next
you ever
bit.
missed your entrance
Oh
before?
heck yes.
Yes,
Yeah?
absolutely.
Everyone has. It's
Yes.
always happened to
Every
everybody.
actor, right?
I've
Every
never
actor's
missed
done
a significant chunk of a scene where I've been backstage and I've been like, "Oh my gosh, this is my part. I gotta go." But I've been late enough to a scene that it changed the scene. That somebody had to stall
Really?
to wait for me.
Well, I have.
Oh, missed the whole scene.
Not a whole scene, but enough that they've had to stall.
Oh, okay.
You know, you don't memorize the parts that you're not on stage. You don't.
Okay.
But you hear them often enough that they get into your brain, and you hear them going on in the background, and your brain says, yeah, that's fine.
Oh, that's
Everything's
right.
going on. Everything's great. And then you start hearing stuff that you've never heard before.
Right, and you go digging,
and your brain immediately goes, uh-oh,
uh-oh.
something's wrong.
And then
Right.
your
You don't
next,
necessarily know what, but you know something's wrong.
and the next
that's
thing
like
to
an
go in your
alarm
mind
clock in your head.
is that something wrong because I'm not on stage?
Because I'm not on stage. Oh, crap.
So how do you
now-
amend
Or
that? How do you
did
fix
you
that?
just
How do you fix it?
Yeah, how do you fix that?
That's up
You
to the
just-
people that are still on stage
It's
while
up-
you're not.
it-
You
it's-
actually go to the scene, like breakdown and go, what scene is this? Oh my God, did I miss it? What? Oh my God, oh my God. Okay, no, I just never remembered this before.
or
that
when,
could be, yeah. if it's
or
not
when
you.
somebody that's in the ensemble that you haven't talked to very often comes up and goes, "Aren't you supposed to be on stage?" That's when you panic because
Yes.
they're
And you
right.
go,
They're
"Oh,
always
no!"
right.
So-
When you see somebody getting ready backstage that you've never seen them do that before. Wait a minute.
Right.
I'm in the wrong place.
Right,
I
exactly.
am not in
I've
the right
never
place.
seen her do that.
Okay, so I'm gonna put you guys on the spot real quick. What is, from each of you, your most memorable hiccup? Your most memorable hiccup where you
There are
I
too
would
many.
never
I've got a
ever
good
do
one.
this again.
I've got a good one.
Oh,
This is
okay.
second grade because this is my favorite one.
Way
I'm always
okay.
going back to elementary school, like,
Yeah.
right? I promise I've done shows as an adult. The second grade, I was in a yet another Christmas show, and it was Santa was. I was playing Mr. Beaver. I had like the beaver tail, and I had the big costume. I had the little teeth, right? Hey, to clarify, we're on late at night.
Oh, the visual.
So-
the visual.
So I had a pretzel stick as my like log that I was chewing on, right? Because I'm a beaver. I was supposed to have like a little piece of wood, right? So I've got
Thanks for
this
the
pretzel
visual.
stick, and I had this little satchel of pretzel sticks that was like around me, so that I could keep, because I didn't have a lot of lines, right? So I just could keep chewing on the pretzels. It was a fun little gag.
You're hungry.
So I'm munching away on these pretzel rods, and my only line I'm supposed to say in this part of the show is, "Look, here comes Santa." I hear these jingle bells, and Santa's coming on his sleigh, right? And I look up at the sky, and I say, "Look, here comes Santa," right? But here I am munching on my pretzel rods, and I hear the teacher down in the wings going, "Timmy, it's you. It's you." And I've got this mouthful of pretzels. And I'm like, just spitting pretzels out on everybody in the audience. I got a great laugh out of it. I was like, oh, I should do that every night.
Was that filmed?
I don't even think there were cameras back then.
Oh my
way before
God.
film
Yes,
existed.
there were cameras
There might have
back
been
then.
like the Super 8s, like the.
the really
Yeah.
big ones that you
Yeah.
held on your
Yeah.
on your shoulder.
Yeah,
That's
I
hilarious.
don't think there's a film of that. I would love to see it if there
I
was.
would have been rolling. Oh my gosh. Okay, so
That's my stage flub.
Well, I was on stage one time, and a fellow actor was supposed to enter at a certain point. Now, this was in a theater where we were all wearing body mics, so we all had microphones on our faces, right? And the sound guy is really good, and when you're off stage, he turns the microphone off, right? And so when you're due to come on stage, he can't see backstage. He doesn't know whether you're ready or not. He'll turn the microphone on. Well, so the guy is supposed to enter, and his cue line happens, and we all turn to look, and the sound guy turns up his microphone, and all you hear is the toilet paper dispenser in the bathroom. And we all realized he was going to miss his entrance, and we needed to start saying things.
right.
Start
Oh
covering.
My God.
Right, and don't do the handshake that's scheduled. That you're.
Yeah,
that you're supposed to do.
No,
Just a
he
pat on
was
the back will be
wiping.
fine.
like,
We know
he
he
was washing
probably
his
washed
hands.
his hands because
that's
he
right.
used
You were
the
the
paper
paper
towel
towels.
dispenser, right? You didn't flush. I didn't
Well,
hear a
thank
flush.
God he didn't hear anything else.
I know. It could have been a lot
Inside
worse.
there.
It could have been a lot
Yeah.
worse.
Angela?
Unfortunately, that kind of thing happens a lot because the sound guy doesn't always remember to turn off your mic, and you get somebody coming off stage going,
Right.
I
'cause
did
that-
a terrible
when
thing.
that
and
scene,
this
people
is-
don't even wait till they get through the curtains to start
Yeah,
complaining about the
sometimes.
last scene they just did. If they didn't
Right.
feel like they did good or somebody else did something bad.
Especially if you're mic'd.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Right.
What about you, Angela?
I think that Okay. I was doing a show. It's called Picnic, at Tuscany Theater, and I think it was preview night, and the whole last act, I'm wearing a nightgown and a robe, and this is very long nightgown, very long robe, and people who know me know that I'm klutzy. And to get off and on stage, there were these big, huge stairs that you had to climb, and I'm in slippers and this big robe, and so I'm climbing up the stairs, and my slipper steps on my nightgown and my robe, and I go down, and it is loud, and everybody's like, "Oh my God!"
At least the nightgown and the robe didn't go down.
And I'm like, and I'm like not screaming because it's live.
There's no way to play that off.
And no, and so I crawl up back on stage, and then like when my scene is done, I come off, and I'm like, "Oh, mother!" and so I'm just like, "I need an ice pack." So, yeah, that's probably
Most memorable moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, and I think in that same show on stage, I was running and I tripped up the stairs.
So this behavior still follows you in life?
She puts on her bio now that will not do stair shows, single ranch homes shows only.
Because I get like I'm into it. I'm just like I'm rushing after somebody, or I'm
Forget
rushing
those
on
stairs.
stage, and I'm just like I'm missing the. It's dark. I'm missing the steps, and so I tend to miss the essential ones.
No.
So yeah,
That's understandable.
But at least whenever they saw me tripping up the stairs, they were like, "Oh, I thought you were so upset that you tripped up the stairs on purpose." And I'm like,
yeah,
"Yeah, I
exactly.
did that. That
Stairs
was
are the worst.
That was that was
I don't
me."
think anybody that's an actor would disagree that everybody's got a story about the stairs. Everybody's got a stair story.
Yeah.
They're
Multiple stories.
because they're always built. You're used to this the correct height for stairs. Because
Right.
everywhere you go in the world, or at least in the U.S., the stairs are a uniform height. But for shows, they're just built by a tech crew. Anything goes.
One is-
They can
Like
be 12
whatever they
inches high,
have
14
around,
inches high.
like the
Reused from a previous
Yes.
show or something.
Exactly.
Maybe they have a
Cobbled
railing.
together.
Maybe the railing's actually attached. Maybe it isn't.
No,
Maybe it's made
they
of
never
marshmallow
have
cream.
railings. They
you don't
never
know.
have railings. No.
You said they
MET
never
had
had
railings.
railings?
MET had
You
railings.
kind of got to have something.
Or they're painted black and the stage is black and you don't know where
It
the
may or may
stairs
not
even
hold you if you need it, but
Yeah,
it's there.
It's
you
there.
know.
Yeah.
Right, right.
UrineTown had a great set. We had
Yes.
we had a very safe, very
Very safe.
comfortable set.
Thank you, Carrie.
Yes,
Carrie's
very
the
safe.
set designer.
Yep.
Carrie
Carrie.
Jordan was our set designer.
Thank you, Carrie,
He's
for designing
he
an
was
amazing
Because we
set.
were up on those big tall platforms and that
he was
could
the technical director.
with,
He's
uh,
amazing.
with less quality that could have been very, very scary.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
long ways up.
Very long ways down. Especially because we had that rolling one too where rolls in and out.
You did a scene on there.
I did
where
one
you
on
stood
there,
up. You
yeah.
sang.
I sang
as
from
well.
up there a lot. Yeah, my hardest part. And they're rolling me back and forth on that thing.
That was your
And you were
hardest part?
very formidable
vocally, it was
on
the
that
hardest part of
rolling
the show, yeah.
Because
staircase.
you were rolling in motion.
No, just that particular part of the music happened to be really tough lyrics,
Oh,
and
okay.
it was high in my range. So it was challenging from every possible way.
I could not even tell, man.
Tim,
Cool.
you were very formidable on those stairs. Like when
Pretty
you
scary.
came out, I was all like, "Oh my God, he's so scary!" and he really is the nicest guy, really, like
Yeah.
that you can meet.
That's very nice. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Caldwell be Cladwell. Thanks you for
Caldwell be Cladwell.
thanks you for the compliment. Were he alive? Spoiler alert.
Oops.
Caldwell be Cat Cladwell, right?
That's the one. Yep.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so I have another question for you. Is your family life affected in any way, especially when it comes to tours,
Yeah,
shows?
sure. Anybody who tells you otherwise is a liar. Now the it's a very work intensive process being a stage actor. No matter what role you have in a show, on stage or off stage, it's super labor intensive, especially in community theater where you're responsible for more than just showing up and being there, and doing your lines. Yeah, it's a collaborative effort to build the set, to take the set down, to put the costumes together, to bring your own props if you can find stuff that matches the time period you're doing a show in. Now, there are some theaters that take care of all that for you, and you don't have to do a lot of that kind of work.
Right.
But most experiences, especially in community theater, you're doing a lot of that work. And so
That's right.
it's not just the time commitment, being away from your family. I'm married to another actor. My wife is also an actor, and we met on stage doing shows. So
that's romantic.
there's no
I'm signing up.
there's no expectation that when she gets involved in a show, which she's in one right now, so I'm just being a daddy right now. But when I sign up for a show and I know and she knows I'm going to be in a show, she knows what that means. It's not like it doesn't mean, oh my gosh, are you going to be gone again this weekend? Of course I'm going to be gone this weekend because I've got a show.
Right.
And so that does take some of the some of the strain out of it. But then there is just the strain of not being home.
Yeah.
And not being home with your
Missing
family.
home life.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
And
But-
what show is she doing?
My wife is
Quick plug.
Quick plug. My wife is playing the beggar woman and the understudy for Mrs. Lovett in Maricopa Community Theater's production of Sweeney Todd, opening in October of this year.
Support, support, support.
My wife, Nicole Fiscus.
Yay.
All right. What about you?
I made this joke earlier. Which ex-wife do you want to ask about?
Yeah, right.
Let's first I'll have to determine how many.
No, we're not going there.
He's court ordered. He's court ordered not to talk about it.
Yeah.
There's a gag order on that.
There is.
Yes.
There is.
Yes.
There should be.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, absolutely. It affects your personal life. In fact, I took a hiatus from acting for 13, 14 years because
Long time.
I had a family to raise. I had a job to do. I had, personal life that I had to get in order. And it wasn't until my kids and my then wife's kids were grown and moved out of the house, and she turned to me and says, you haven't done a show in a very long time.
Right. That's a big sacrifice.
You really ought to go audition. Well, you have to set a priority, right?
Yeah.
Now, I can't speak for anyone else, but I do this as a hobby. I don't get paid for this. This is not how I make my living.
Right.
So if I am going to sacrifice some other major part of my life for this hobby, then things are out of balance.
Yeah.
That's not the right way you should be
Right.
doing this. But anyway, she said to me, you haven't done a show in a long time. You ought to go audition. And I says, well, all right. Yeah, I haven't done it. But you realize I'm rusty. I probably won't get cast. It's an exercise in rejection in a lot of ways. And so I went and auditioned for 2 shows, and they wanted to cast me in both of them. So
Right away?
See?
After 13
See?
to 14 years.
I know,
That
I
means you
know.
are a natural
so
actor.
rusty.
yeah, well,
You have the juice, they would call it.
me.
I have the right gender is what I have.
I was about to say the exact same thing.
That's
Really?
it.
What do you mean by that, the right
the,
gender?
the world of community theater, particularly, is far, far less competitive for men than it is for women.
Way less.
Far, far less.
Yes, it is.
The not to say you don't have to be a talented person to get a role,
Right.
but there, if you look at any community, and Phoenix is a big city, right? And so, I could name the top 20 male actors in the Valley right now, off the top of my head. Not just because I'm a guy, but because you know them because they're in so many shows.
Right.
They're
Okay.
whenever they audition for something, they get a role. They're in. You're not getting turned away very often. For women, it's much more competitive. Much more competitive.
Tim and I probably will go to a show to audition, and there may be half a dozen guys that we're competing with for a part, if that many. And there's usually, let's say, 20 guys maybe will show up for 10 parts. I mean,
Right.
That's
the
reasonable.
numbers
Yeah.
are just on your side. When Angela goes to audition for a show, or any female goes to audition for a show, there's 10 or 15 women for every part that's in the show. It's
And then
just-
for
And
the
a lot-
ensemble,
and
50,
a lot
40,
of the-
50, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of the shows are male heavy.
Yes,
Right.
that's right.
A
That's
lot,
true.
a,
Just
a,
of
a lot of
musicals,
musicals, a
specifically.
lot of plays. They require a lot of guy parts. So there's usually like 2-3 women parts that all of these women are going for.
Is this because it's a certain style?
No,
Or
there's musicals
that's
and
just how it
or
is?
plays in all different kinds of styles. It's just that it is always I think it's kind of always been there's always been a lot of more men writers writing from their perspective.
Yeah, sure.
And
That's
so
certainly part of it.
and so they're going to write from their point of view, and that's going to include a lot of male influence
Yep.
Right.
with like females as being more of the like supplementary characters. That's just in my opinion. But we're getting into more of female written shows and female
Centric
centric
stories.
Yeah.
And I
Thank you
think when you
for
talk about
finishing my
community
list.
theater too, you're looking for volunteers. That's what you're looking for.
Right.
I mean, if you're paid, it's a nominal stipend, enough to pay for gas, but mostly it's just no pay at all. It's just a volunteer thing. And I just think that it's more common that it appeals to women than men. There are more men
Yeah,
that
exactly.
there are more men that would prefer to volunteer their time to do something different than get on stage in theater. I think it's just less of a common hobby for men.
That's true too.
And,
You're right.
and you'll see that in a lot of ensemble shows. You'll see a bunch of women in the ensemble and maybe like a couple of men. Because and sometimes women even have to play men.
Right.
So
That's
And
crazy.
I feel like I've seen more men that have the story of I just got involved in this one production because my daughter was or my wife was, and I got hooked, and now I've been in 20 shows in the last 10 years.
Wow.
Right.
Whereas
happens
women
like that.
tend to say, this has been my passion my whole life. I've always wanted to sing and dance and act.
Yeah.
The guy got into it sort of accidentally.
You know,
and
our culture doesn't steer guys towards this activity.
That's right.
It seems like the
not-
guys like fall into it.
They do. That's kind of, but you have to want it. You have to maybe not be so good at sports, and
Yeah.
you
That's
know,
definitely true.
be the guy that doesn't get picked for every team.
Right.
And then you have an alternative
Right. Or
That guy.
activity.
in high school, you had a girlfriend that did theater, and so
There
you
you go.
you joined the theater so that you could do what she did
Oh,
and be
man.
hang
You
out with her
realize
after
that
school.
the ratio is really in your favor.
Yes,
when you're
right,
looking
exactly.
for girls to date.
And then the
Because not
girl's
only-
like, I don't want you to come to practice with me because
I don't know if I
Right.
should make this joke, but not only are there a lot of girls in theater that are interested in guys, there's not that many guys in theater that are
Interested in girls.
So
Fair-
not
true-
only
true
is
story.
Okay.
the ratio in your favor, but your competition is not so stiff. So
Right.
okay.
It's true. It's very true. I think that the hobby would appeal equally to men and women. I don't think that there's anything specific about the hobby, about theater, that appeals more to women than it does to men. It's just that the exposure isn't there for men.
right.
Okay.
And I think that a lot of guys first experience with theater is going to a show.
sure.
Yeah.
As opposed to being in a show or auditioning for a show.
Right.
They'll see a show, it'll really change their life, and then they'll think, wow, maybe I could get involved with that. And even if I just go build sets or something.
Right.
Right.
And that's actually one of the things that I like to do because
Billing.
getting more men involved in theater because the reason like this hobby like sort of consumes me a little bit, and my friends
A little bit.
Yeah, my friends are like, "Do you want to do something?" And I'm like, "I can't. I have rehearsal all the
Right.
time," and so that's why it kind of affects me. I don't have like the family. My family's in Ohio, so I don't have that sort of the connection that like maybe Tim has or Mark has to where they have the obligations to do that. But like my friends are my family, and
Right.
and they're always like, oh, I guess you're busy. I guess you're in rehearsal. And so
Yeah.
that's the way that it affects me. But I'm always trying to bring them in and saying, hey, why don't you come do this with me? It would be a lot
Have
of
you
fun,
gotten any of
and
them?
especially men. I try everywhere. Like there's been a couple of people that I've almost snagged. A couple of my guy friends that I've almost snagged. So if you're watching this, I'm coming for you.
She's coming for you.
We had
I'm
a guy
coming for
moving
you.
furniture into my in-laws' house this
Yes.
week that he came down the stairs after carrying something up the stairs. I had just gotten there, and I was holding my daughter in my arms, and he came down the stairs. Big brawny guy,
Yeah.
and he said to my daughter, who was looking at him coming down the stairs, and she was looking at him, and he went, "Hi there, little girl, how you doing?" You know, he just had this beautiful baritone, lush voice, and I said to him, I said, "Do you sing? Do you do theater? Do you something?" He's like, "I'm a moving guy." And I was like, you're missing your chance, man.
Right.
You need to go right now and get yourself to an audition.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be
That voice.
oh, my gosh. His voice was beautiful. I mean, all he said was like, how are you doing, little girl? I mean, but just the tone that came out of his voice. So many people out there, diamonds in the rough, like people that could just be doing what we're doing.
And they don't even know it.
No.
Well, at the base of it, this is an art. This is an art form, right?
Right.
That's not something that everybody thinks they can do. Our
True.
culture doesn't steer you that way or tell you that boys can be artistic. I mean, it's
They're
allowed,
more
but
geared
it's not
towards sports, music, the
something.
soccer field.
It's not. It's not. It doesn't have and sport. And theater funding is being cut in schools. Arts funding in general
But
is
it's
being
so
cut.
important. It leaves such an impression on you.
It's crazy.
And I think that, like a lot of things, just like sports, it's not something you're good at right away. You know, when you get on stage to act or to sing and be in a show, it's not like if you have a good voice or if you have a good stage presence or you're just a funny guy or whatever, that you're going to immediately be a good actor and you're going to be entertaining to watch on stage. It takes a lot of work and a lot of experience. And, you know, you can do something, man, this happens to me all the time. You do something, you're so proud of it. You feel like the work you did was great.
Yeah.
You feel like you put yourself out in an award-worthy kind of performance, right? 10 years down the line, you find a DVD of it in your drawer, and you pop it in, you go, oh, that was terrible. That was horrible. I was proud of that. And, oh, my God.
Been there, done that.
You just, like, you grow and you grow and you grow, and it never stops. And, you're always, I think, tempted to just find that next challenge. And, as soon as I'm wrapping up a show, I mean, like, we're in our final performance. I know this is our last time I'm going to get a chance to read through the script. And I'm on stage doing my final performance. And in my head, I'm thinking about what I'm going to sing for my audition next week for whatever the next thing I'm going to do is. Because I'm already in my next, I'm already on my next project.
It really is.
Well, speaking of next project, what's in the future for you production-wise? Each of you. Anything that you are going to be working on soon?
You guys have a good answer for this one.
Well, Mark and I will be in She Loves Me at Don Bluth Theater. It's a musical. It's if anyone has ever seen the movie You've Got Mail with
Meg
Ryan and Tom Hanks.
Mm-hmm.
It is that movie was based on this play. It was originally a play, and then they made it a musical, and then they made it a movie. Mm-hmm. So it was just revived in 2016 with Laura Benatti, Jane Krakowski, Gavin Creel, and Zachary Levi.
Okay.
And it was really super popular. We're going to be playing love interests.
Oh.
Off and on love interests.
Oh, okay.
Basically, he's kind of a jerk.
I'm kind of a jerk. I swear, I get cast all the time. I say this all the time. I get cast as the womanizing asshole.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know why.
That's so disrespectful, man.
I know it
So
is.
disrespectful.
I
It just
know
means
it.
he reads that well.
I do.
He reads it well.
That's what I look like, I guess. I don't know.
No. I just
Nah,
think
nah,
that
nah.
you have that kind of sort of commanding presence to where
You could scare the crap out of somebody.
Yeah, you could
She's
scare.
she's really trying to smooth this over.
I know she is. She should just give up.
The older I get, the more bad guy parts I get too.
You-
It is. That's true.
Yeah, so he's playing Kadai, and I'm playing Alona, and
Okay.
Alona is a woman who has been around the block a couple of times.
She likes to exercise.
Yeah.
She does.
Okay.
She's a jogger.
Yeah, she loves walking around the block a couple of times.
If you're talented at reading between the lines.
She's got a well-worn Fitbit.
Yes, she does.
So we're the secondary love interests. The primary love interests are the guy, the boy and the girl who are they're romantic pen pals, but they're also coworkers,
And
they
they
don't
hate each
realize
other.
that they are actually also.
That's
Pen
trippy. So they're coworkers.
They work
who are
side by side, and they
pen
keep telling.
pals.
Yeah, and they keep telling about this other person that they're having a written pen pal romantic
And they're like,
relationship
oh
with.
my God, that
But they
is
don't know their name, and they don't know their age, and they don't know anything about them except that.
But the
They've
subject
written
matter
these
is
beautiful letters to each other, and they've bore their heart out to each other, and it's sort of a ships passing. They really don't know who the other one is.
Do they eventually? Do do they eventually find this out?
You
or?
should
come
wait.
see the show.
You should just come see the show.
Plug.
It's a very cute.
When
It's a very
will this-
cute little show. It opens
and,
in.
and George is actually going to be played by Ben Harris, who was our UrineTown assistant director
Okay.
UrineTown.
for UrineTown, and
Who's our- the official-
Amalia is going to be played by Catherine Martin, who I just met, and she is phenomenal, and I love her to bits
Is there a
already.
date?
Yes, the date is we open September 14th
Okay.
to November 4th.
Runs
So it's
right
going
out
8
to-
weeks.
Yeah, runs
It's
about,
right around the
That's
corner.
like 4.5 weeks away.
yeah. So it's going to
I
be.
would love to see that.
5 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
That will be
Should
my
be a good
second
show.
play here in Arizona. How about you, Tim?
I have nothing right now on the docket. I did 4
That's right,
shows,
you did tell me.
4 shows in a row. With UrineTown being my last show.
The crazy man did 3 shows at the same time.
Yeah, so
At the
3.
same time?
I joined the cast of UrineTown sort of in progress. I was wrapping up the producers at Desert Stages, and I came right into rehearsals for UrineTown, but they were only a couple weeks from opening at that point.
Oh,
And
okay.
Ben Harris, who was the assistant director for UrineTown, was the stand-in. He was my Caldwell stand-in up until that
Body
point.
double.
Body double, right? Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
he had been learning all the blocking and writing it all down and learning all the places, what I had to do and where I had to go and where I had to stand, so that he could give me a crash course in it when I got to rehearsals.
You
And so-
came in, I think, like 2 weeks
2
before
weeks.
the show opened.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
2
yeah.
weeks before the show opened, and you learned everything on the blocking and on the music and everything.
I had already had the script ahead of time, and so
Okay.
I
He
was
was
able to
learning-
learn my lines before I showed up at
But
rehearsals.
while
so-
he was doing 2 other shows, he was doing the Marvelous Wonderettes, and he was doing the producers. So the Marvelous Wonderettes.
I was just the piano player for the Marvelous Wonderettes, so I
yes,
didn't
but
have
you were
any.
still doing.
I was.
the
I, mean,
show.
I had to be at the show every night, but I didn't
Yeah.
have to memorize anything.
But I just I thought it was pretty amazing.
That's awesome, man.
Thanks. Yeah.
That is pretty
So I don't have nothing
And
going on
crazy.
right now. I'm going to be auditioning for some stuff in the fall.
Okay.
But like I said, my wife's in Sweeney Todd right now, so I don't get to do anything until she's done with that.
Okay, cool.
So-
Cool.
that's
Makes
the
sense.
question.
And she's auditioning tomorrow for the Life Could Be a Dream. It's the Marvelous Wonderettes for next year at Hale.
Oh,
at the
nice.
It's same guy that wrote the show. Kind of musical review of the 1950s, sort of a thing.
Nice.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Hale.
Nice.
That's the toughest question I think an actor has to field. What's your next project?
Ah, okay.
Because in
What do
general,
you-
you don't
You don't know. You
What
know
do
what you might
want
be.
it? What do you,
You want this, and you
What
want
do
to
you
audition
want?
for that, and you're going to try out for that. But
What do I want to do?
I think we were talking about this a little
Yeah.
bit earlier, but I think you should.
Well, I would like to. I hope to audition for the Woman in Black, which is happening at Mesa Encore Theater's Black Box Theater, which is our second stage or
Which
whatever
is
they call
phenomenal. If you've never seen a show in Mesa Encore Theater's Black Box, you need to do it because it is the most powerful, intense, emotional experience that you can ever have in
It's real close
in-
quarters.
Very nice, intimate
It's an
space.
intimate space. It's really nice, and I just saw like one of their shows, one of the waiting room, and I was in tears. Like I was wrecked. Like I know I'm an emotional person, but I mean it was so intense, and the actors were amazing, and it was like almost. I think it was a life-altering experience because I'm still kind of glowing about it. But it was a great show, and all of their shows that are there are just done by brilliant directors, brilliant actors. They really have a pulse on what it means to do sort of the gritty, raw, experimental theater that not a lot of theaters do.
Yeah.
And
it's the
it's
show they're doing right now, Sick,
Sick. Yeah.
they're doing Sick
SIC.
right. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
doing Sick right now.
which I don't know
They-
the dates, but I'm sure it'll be great.
I think it's going on right now.
They do a lot of good work there.
So I've worked with the director for Woman in Black before, and she's fantastic, and so I would really like to get the opportunity to work with her again. And then the Christmas Carol, which comes up every year for the whole month of December at Hale Center Theater in Gilbert.
Okay.
And it's an institution. They've been doing it 15 years, something like that.
I would love to do
and
that too.
You'll be in the production?
I'm
as
going to
well?
audition. I would love to be a part of it. I went and saw it last year for the first time. It was magical. I thought it was wonderful. I got to see Mark. I went to one of the nights Mark was performing. They
Okay.
do two different casts that alternate nights, and so you run the chance of missing somebody that you know in the show, even if you go. And so I got to see Mark in the show, and beautiful production. Just really, I think if Dickens could come back to life and approve Christmas Carol, that's the one he would like.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably the closest one to
It's very
the original.
very close to the
idea.
original, right? Very,
Yeah.
and they've added a lot of really nice madrigal period music that's all very
Which the
reminiscent of
choir
the
person in me
It
loves,
just
yeah.
provides a nice the feel you're supposed to
The
have.
ambiance
with
and the
Christmas Carol.
atmosphere is just, it really gets you into the mood for Christmas.
Right. It's not a happy show, but then it is, and
But
then it isn't, then it is. It's beautiful. Great production. I hope to be involved in that. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You guys really opened me up to the world of theater, to be honest.
Good.
We're going to be wrapping it up tonight, and I'm glad that you guys came on set with us. Is there any comments? Let's
Are
see.
there any comments?
Are you getting comments?
The sad Nicole.
The sad
Okay, Nicole said the saddest cowboy.
Oh, I forgot the.
Wait, is my wife trolling us?
Yeah,
Yes,
she is.
your wife was trolling us the
2468.
whole time.
Who
Spit
do
out
we sing
pretzel.
appreciate?
Oh my gosh.
Robert Andrews says,
Oh,
I
Oh,
love you all
Robert,
so
we love
much.
you too.
Thank you, Robert.
Robert was in UrineTown.
Robert Andrews was
one of the,
Mr. McQueen.
Mr. McQueen, one of
He-
the hench people to Caldwell B. Cladwell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great comic moments. It was very
yeah,
funny.
he did have some great moments. He also was the guy that didn't help me down off the desk.
Yes.
Yeah, man. That's
He
part
did
of
not
it.
help you off the
Hilarious.
desk. He was
I was
amazing.
like, bro, look, your feet is right here near the floor.
Yes.
Why are you sliding off like a baby?
It was kind of to show like sort of
Oh
how
my God.
awkward
That
it
fun.
was.
That
Yeah.
was-
Like,
that
what do
was-
you do when you get off of high spaces? You're just like,
No,
oh
but
God.
that's what made it genius was the
Yeah.
fact that, yeah, you could get down just by stepping down, but you're
Right.
sliding down like
Right,
a
and,
baby.
and his character is this powerful, evil,
We just finished this
Right.
big
supervillain, right?
He's like,
and he's
"Ah."
scared to death to get off of a desk. So that's kind of that was the fun part of it.
Yeah, so if I'm gonna shout it out, Robert is actually rehearsing right now in Chicago. MET's doing Chicago, and he's actually in that production.
The
so-
Try to
Chicago,
plug
the
every
big
show
show.
we can.
Yeah, we're gonna plug everybody who like
No,
comments.
the show is called Chicago,
Chicago.
but it's
Chicago.
taking place in Phoenix.
In Phoenix.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes, it's
On
another
location.
musical, and it's gonna be at Mesa Encore Theater, Mesa Arts Center. Mesa
See, this
Encore
is why
Theater
we
is
do
doing
this
it.
show, so
Yeah.
we can highlight what's going on in the community.
And I'll definitely throw a shout out to PhoenixStages.com. Gil Benbrook runs an amazing website there. It's http:// because it's not
Such a nerd.
www, people. It's
Such a
not
nerd.
www.
We love you, Tim.
It's phxstages.blogspot.com, or you can just do a web search for PHX Stages. It has everything you need to know about what's going on in the local theater.
Yeah, and if you want to
okay.
come see
upcoming
a
shows,
show,
upcoming auditions.
if you
want to
audition, those of you, I'm talking to you.
Camera B. Camera B.
Wait,
Camera
where's the
B.
camera? I don't know which camera we're looking at.
all that.
Oh, okay. Ha 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 ha! I told you it was
Left
both
eye that way,
cameras.
right eye that way.
Okay. Anyways, and also, if you want to audition too,
Durantcom.com. Yep.
Shout out to my
Laura
my
Durant.
lady Laura Durant. She's amazing.
DURANTCOM
.com.
.com.
Yes.
Durantcom.com.
She also is
Durantcom.com.
she's involved in getting auditions for not just community theater productions but professional theater productions,
As well.
commercials,
Yeah.
television
She's
shows.
done a great service for the Valley over the years, and she deserves every bit of plug we can give her.
And she came and saw UrineTown. She
did
loved
come
it.
to see
She
UrineTown.
Laura
did.
Durant.
Laura Durant.
Laura
Do you know what
Durant.
she told me after the
Hi,
show?
Laura.
She told me that I looked like a murdering dentist.
Wow.
Wow.
They're casting a Discovery ID series called Deadly
Oh,
Dentists.
yeah.
And it's one of these ones where
Yeah,
the-
she told me, she's like, you would be a great victim. I'm
Apparently-
like, I'm a victim.
Apparently, I look like one of the dentists that killed somebody. So I get that all the time.
She's like, we need people
one of
like
these-
you.
It's one of these documentaries where they reproduce some actual crime, and so they want to cast people in the reenactments that look something like the original people.
Yeah.
because they
that were
interview the
involved.
original people too.
Yes.
And then they have so you have the actor playing them, and then they have an interview with the original guy. And if they look somewhat similar, that makes it a little bit more powerful, I guess.
Right.
So apparently, I look like a murdering dentist.
Hey, man. What's up?
Hey, at least you weren't the victim.
You know, when I was a kid, I looked like the misfit dentist on Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So
What other comments? Are there any other comments? Any more comments?
Any more comments?
No,
Let's
it looks
see.
like just Nikki's pretzel
Yeah,
spills.
that's it.
Okay, that's
That
it.
is it from there.
Everybody else
So
gone
if
to
you
bed.
guys want to put in your handles where anybody can contact you, your Facebook, Instagram. If you're on Instagram, you can go ahead and plug that in. And
All right,
we'll
will
go
do.
end the show.
You can
So-
catch me at robertandrews.stripper.com.
No!
Oh, love it. I get my ones ready.
We're going to make it rain,
We're
Tim.
gonna make it rain.
We're going to
Oh,
make
wait,
it
I can only
rain.
do 3 and then it's gone. I should have gotten singles.
All right. So your handle, where people can contact you.
Oh,
online.
he was kidding about that handle.
Oh, I
Robert
know.
Andrews is not a stripper.
He's not
Do
a
not look that up.
It's
at all.
not real. It's not real. Usually I'm on Twitter as like Charm, CHAERM. And my Instagram is the same.
Okay.
But if you can find me on Facebook too as my normal name. So,
Awesome. Okay.
I mean, I have
and
4 different
Mark?
names, but
Oh, I don't have a public face. I just
Sounds good.
he wears a mask all
on
the
Facebook.
time.
I'm on Facebook under my name, Timothy Fiscus. And if you're into board games, I'm on Board Game Geek as Huckman T.
I'm
So-
on Board Game Geek too.
So
That's
you
true.
can catch
Oh
up to me
my
on Board Game
God.
Geek. So that's my other big hobby. So
Tim, if I can geek out for you for a little moment.
go for it.
I actually, the people who made Board Game Geek.
Scott and Aldi.
Yes, Scott and Aldi. I actually did one of my papers for school on their site.
Oh, very nice.
And I contacted them, and they were so nice, and so they're my friends on Facebook now.
They've done very well for
because
themselves on the
they're
website.
wonderful. They're wonderful men, and they love talking about geek stuff, and they're very nice people. And so I was.
They
just
go to
like,
all the
you know,
conventions and stuff. So
I
you can always
know.
meet them there
I
too,
was
and their
like, yeah.
football jerseys.
Well, this is a very informative, fun, interactive show. I really enjoyed this.
Invite actors on more often.
Yeah, exactly.
I
We love talking about
absolutely will.
ourselves.
it's hard to get an actor to shut up, frankly.
Really?
So you want
I'm
to.
not saying that you guys are talkative, but you guys really enjoy this,
Yeah.
which is good though.
Oh yeah.
Which is good.
Well, thank you for
We'll
giving
definitely
us,
have
If
you
you'd
know.
given
Thank
us
you.
a script to memorize, we wouldn't have been able to do it. So
Yeah.
All right. Well, the next shows that you guys have, I would love to have you guys back again to talk about those.
I would.
Sure, sounds
Yeah,
great.
I'd love to
Well,
bring
probably
the
do that.
cast
All right.
on and talk
And
about.
bring more of the cast in as
Yes,
well.
absolutely.
Yeah. This UrineTown closed over a month ago, so everybody's on to other stuff, and people have
it's
a
hard
lot
to
of
get-
a lot of our cast members are in shows tonight or had tech tonight
Okay.
for their shows, and so they just couldn't make it.
Well, tell them the Secret Hideout says we welcome them. Okay, we thank them.
I think you
thank
just
you.
did.
Actually, thank you guys for the sign. This is why
I made that
why
sign.
we have the name.
I
There you
made
go.
that
Secret Hideout.
sign.
Nah.
Angela made this sign.
I did.
Thank you. Well, you guys can contact me on Facebook.
I'm already
Innate
your friend.
Gentry, INEYT, Gentry, GENTRE. And I am on Instagram as well.
I know. I got
as
you.
INEYT. And we thank you for being here with us.
Thank you guys
on the
for
Secret
watching.
Hideout Show.
Thank you.
Shh, it's a secret.
From Sound Zero Studios, we're live at the Secret Hideout. We've got the inside connection to the Valley of the Sun's hottest musicians and artists. We encourage you to like, share, and subscribe to everyone you see here tonight and take you now to the Secret Hideout.
Hi, my name is Nate, and I am coming to you from Sound Zero Studios here with the cast of UrineTown. And we are here to bring you updates from the community of what we are experiencing through the arts, through these artists. How are you all today?
Good.
Doing great, man. Doing great.
Doing great?
Doing great.
You look like you're doing great.
Feeling good.
Yeah, I was about to ask if you're feeling good. How about y'all?
Awesome.
Awesome.
We're pretty awesome over here.
I don't need a microphone. I'm loud enough.
Oh, okay. Great. Well, we're here to ask you all a few questions about your careers and what you do. How does it make you feel? And what brought you into this area of theater?
Awesome.
All right. Now, who do I want to start with first? Let's see. Tim?
Bring it.
You're the closest to me, man. All right, first question. What drew you to a musical named UrineTown? As seen on Mark's shirt. Proudly, let's plug that.
Yeah, I almost wore that shirt tonight. And I was like, I don't want to be the guy that wears the shirt that,
The only guy that wears a
he's the guy
shirt
that
like
wears
I
the
am
shirt,
now?
the shirt,
Yeah,
yeah.
is that what you didn't
Right.
want to do?
Well, I'm glad somebody wore the shirt. He wouldn't have had a sign.
Well, Mark, great idea for wearing the shirt, man.
Thank you. I
Very
thought it
nice.
was appropriate.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave and get my shirt and come back with the shirt on.
Okay, well, speaking of the shirt, well, I would like one as well.
No, you would you?
Tim,
So
first question.
the first question was about what drew me to UrineTown, the show UrineTown.
Yeah, it's the musical name. Yeah.
I have to say, I could be 100%. I did not have any idea about the show. I didn't know anything about it. I had heard of its existence in that I had seen auditions posted for this over the years, but I never really. What I assumed was that it was probably something for very young people,
Right.
And so,
By the name.
I just was like, no, that's not for me. I had to think that's probably for that's the rent crowd. That's not
Right.
the rent
The
crowd.
rent
I
crowd.
consider
What
myself older than the rent crowd.
There might be a lot of. You think
okay.
there might be a
I'm
lot
the
of pee
mortgage
jokes
crowd,
or
yes.
stuff in there that the very young
Responsibility
kids would
crowd.
appreciate?
Yeah. So like I didn't know much about it, and then I started to see people that I knew that were getting involved with it, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna check this out too.
Okay.
I had never done anything with Mesa Encore Theater either, so this was my first show with them too. Also, my first show at the Mesa Arts Center, first of everything.
Right.
So it was
Yeah.
an eye opener.
It was an eye opener.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the whole content, because I remember seeing it myself, and the content of it when I was watching, I was like, this is pretty genius.
Mm-hmm.
How they incorporated the meaning behind UrineTown into the play.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you have to go into it ready to see something that is, and pay attention and find out what it's about. Because if you just hear the title, you might go, no thanks,
Right,
it's not for me.
Yeah, I had to broaden my perspective when I heard
So
about
is
it.
Oklahoma playing in town somewhere?
Now I'm going to come over to you all, Mark and Angela, and ask you the same question. What drew you to a musical named UrineTown?
Well, I'll go first. I've done UrineTown before.
Okay.
So this is the second time I've done this show.
Better?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I should be careful because there might be people who were in the first one. No, this was one of the best shows I've ever been in, I think.
Yeah.
And I've always loved this show from, well, when I first learned about UrineTown, I read the script and I looked at it and I thought, this is the dumbest thing I have ever seen in my
the script
life.
doesn't read
Why?
well.
The script does not
doesn't?
read well. It
No,
doesn't. And then I heard the music, and the music is so good. It is so diverse and well done, and then hard. It's very hard.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you learn that the show is actually a satire about real world problems and about other musicals and a lot of layers to it. That it's actually a lot more interesting than your typical musical.
Right.
And that totally drew me in. I immediately wanted to be a big part of that.
Right.
So yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it's the kind of show I think that if it's in the hands of somebody who doesn't understand it, could be terrible. Really could be a bad show.
Absolutely true.
Yeah.
Because the dialogue is campy, but if you don't recognize that and use it to play to the meaning of the show, it's just
Right.
going to be silly, and it'd be like.
Well,
watching
I'm
Pee-wee's
sure you
Playhouse or
have to
something.
have a certain type of mind frame to grasp the meaning of everything within the
You know
play.
what we did,
As long
though?
as it's well presented, the
Yeah.
audience
Yeah.
won't have any trouble, I don't think.
I
didn't
think
have
that
any
we
trouble.
were so lucky that we got such an amazing director
Yeah, for sure.
to do this show.
Who's the director?
The director was David Chorley, and
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't seen him, he's really a comedic genius.
Yeah.
Honestly, everything that he touches, I mean, it's honestly, I'm kind of a fan. So I've seen him, and he just makes you laugh like
I
hysterically.
was on the top balcony, bent over the balcony,
laughing. Yes,
because how he put everything together.
He's got a real knack for adding little things, little details that lesser shows miss. That is what fleshes out every little thing about the show.
Right.
Like, I mean, I think one of the things I always give this example. I don't even know if you noticed it when you were watching the show, but Cladwell's desk, is made of golden toilets, right? And
I did not notice that.
So
Golden toilets?
the desk is
Golden
made of
toilets.
golden toilets,
Okay.
real toilets, golden toilets. And on the desk, in the very first scene that you go into the office, there's a little potted plant. Little potted plant. The next time you see the desk, the potted plant is bigger. The next time you see the desk, the potted plant is like flowing over the side of the desk. This is a
Wow.
well-watered potted plant, which is ironic because water is super regulated, and so
So he's using water.
it's never mentioned, it's never pointed out. No one ever. It's just one of those little things.
that makes me
that's
really want to
like
see this
such
play
a-
again to catch
Yeah.
that part
Yeah.
inside there. Okay, so what drew you, Angela?
I actually saw UrineTown in a smaller theater, and I thought it was funny. I loved the songs. I loved the whimsy about it. I loved the satire. I loved the inside jokes. And to be involved in this production, I think it actually took it to like the next level, which
Yeah.
and I was like, whoa. So when I auditioned, let me just tell you about how the audition process went. It was very exhausting, should we say.
What do you mean by exhausting?
Okay, so we auditioned, and then they gave us all a callback, and we're like, yeah, this is going to be a normal callback, no problem. The director put us through our paces. He wanted to make sure that everyone he cast was able to get thrown something and that we could throw something back at him. So it was like like a 3-hour callback? It was a 3-hour callback, and we were he's like, okay, now you're going to do this scene, and you're going to do it this way, and you're going to act like you haven't peed in days, and how would you respond?
There's a lot
and
of improvisation to it.
It was a
Right.
lot, and we actually left the callback going, oh God, we're not going to be in this.
That was hard.
It
Really?
was hard. It was so hard.
Uncomfortable.
There was the thing is that so many of the actors put a bunch of actors in a room and say
Yeah.
you all are competing for this part. Now
Right.
improv and do the best you can. They start one-upping each other, and the level builds and the level builds, and pretty much by halfway through,
Yeah.
you're just exhausted trying to think, what can I do that would be funny?
That
What
to
can I do
one-up
that would
on
be
Yeah,
great?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you
for
leave
sure.
it going, oh my God, was I funny enough?
So
Is he
has-
going to see something in me?
In this frenzy that I'm hearing, was there at any instance something that stuck out in y'all's mind that was just like, yo, that was really over the top what they just did? Okay, you're laughing.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm not sure I can come up with an example at the time, right now. But at the time, I was like, this got out of control. This was over the top. I've never been involved in that much
Right.
competitive auditioning
The energy
before.
must
That's
have
not usually.
been
You
really
killed
Oh,
the
it
guy
was. There
with
was
a
a huge
trident.
amount of energy.
Oh my God.
Auditioning is not usually a competition sport.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not like roller derby, usually, but this one sort of felt like it. It was you
If-
felt bruised and
battered.
exhausted
Usually just
and battered.
emotionally
by the time.
competitive.
Yeah.
Right.
oh, yeah.
Not physically
So does
competitive.
everybody afterwards come together and kumbaya
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's all
Oh
right?
yeah, sure, yeah. I mean, everybody
Okay.
understands why they're doing it. Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
And it's a pretty physical show too. So it's not the kind of show that you finish up, you put your street clothes on and head home and go do something active. It's a crash kind of show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You,
It was.
the cast, as I saw it, it looked like everybody is pretty well tight knit with each other.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. And I think that this show more than most shows that I've ever done, this cast was really respectful towards what everybody was doing, from the person with the most lines to the person with the least lines. Everybody was respecting everybody's work. Everybody was having fun backstage and having fun on stage, but within the parameters of what we had set up, and consistent, really consistent.
Right.
Despite the fact that you have all these free spirits out there, the show I think was pretty much exactly the same every night.
It was.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would agree with that. Not that all shows don't have
Right.
everyone getting along. I mean, they all do, of
Okay.
course.
Of course.
Of course.
Never any backstage shenanigans.
But this one really was very drama free,
Yeah.
and as Tim said, it was very consistent. You rarely see. Usually somebody tends to get a little bit off the tracks. Somebody
Right.
will start adding or subtracting or changing stuff, and there was very little of that. There really was.
Especially because I think we also had a good variety of audience reactions to our material. So
Yeah.
we had some audiences that were rolling in the aisles right away, really with us, great response. And we had a couple nights where it was just crickets. And, we were like, wow, do they just hate us? I don't think they think any of this is funny at all.
Right.
And the temptation is then, well, let's make it funny.
Okay.
Let's do something.
We
to
must
make
be
it
doing
funny.
So you
something
would
wrong.
improv a lot.
Yeah.
But
You shouldn't do that. It's a bad idea.
no, but what like they were saying, we were completely
Wait, we're on a
consistent.
cut.